when everything seemed to be a disaster. Hello, language lovers. This is Milagros Hugueto de Sánchez, profe de mente y corazón, and I'm happy to be here on the second episode of this podcast, the podcast de mente y corazón. So I'm super happy because I have been interacting with people based on the first episode, and a lot of people have subscribed. I have 42 subscribers, and it's been just 1 week. I'm very happy. I didn't know it was gonna be like this. So please subscribe, like, share, and comment as soon as I give you access to comments. This is the second episode, and I'm gonna be talking about when everything seemed to be a disaster in my career. How come, Mila? Yes. I transitioned to teach Spanish in the United States. Of course, there is a gap between teaching Spanish, teaching English in Venezuela, teaching English in Ecuador, then teaching Spanish in the United States. A lot of things were always the norm as an English teacher, and then having to teach Spanish changed everything in my life, in my structure, in my everyday routines, and also teaching in a diverse community with students from different cultures around the world and around the United States. It was a beautiful experience, but then I came with empty hands. I brought 2 suitcases, one with clothes and one with resources. All these cultural resources suggested by this company that brought me. I'll be talking about that experience, wonderful experience as well sometime soon. And then in that suitcase packed with artifacts from Ecuador, Quito, Guayaquil, traditional clothes, masks, ornaments, fabrics, different pictures, posters, banners, books that I was able to buy in Ecuador. Remind me that I didn't have anything from Venezuela, not even a flag. That's because when I left Venezuela, I was going to be an English teacher in Ecuador. But then, life changes, opportunities come, and then we take advantage of them. My husband told me, let me make a brief parenthesis. He asked me, Mila, why don't we try applying to be a teacher in the United States one more time? Because I tried back in 2007 and I got accepted. But then my mom had a situation and then I stopped that plan. I would say I forgot about the plan. However, when there is a call, when there is a purpose in your life, and keep that in mind, when you live your life with intention. So that came to my life again through my husband, and I listened. I started the whole process, and I'm not going to go deep into that in this episode, and I got accepted. I came to the States, I brought the suitcases I was talking about, and then here in the classroom, I say, what do I do in order to get my students engaged into my culture? Once my husband and I landed here in Charlotte, North Carolina, I was more into researching about my culture, researching about my hometown, the town in which my father was born. It's an African descendant community called Barlovento in Miranda State. So I decided to design plans based on culture, aligned with the curriculum, in which I could talk more about myself. So my husband and I, it was April, and I was researching about celebrations that took place in those months back in Venezuela. So he told me, why don't we work with the devil dancers, los diablos danzantes? And I say, yes, why not? And but I will have to show them pictures because I can't sculpt masks. And he said, remember, I'm an artist and I will help you. So he started to design our masks. That little we knew that those masks were going to be part of traditional clothes we used to dance in celebrations out of my classroom, outside my classroom, in the city, in festivals. Actually, I dared, along with my husband, to tell a friend of mine. Nowadays, she's my friend. Back in the day, she was just giving a training in social media and how to do websites and data and figures and numbers. Well, she was interested in knowing who I was and what I did back in my country. So I told her I used to dance, I used to sing, and she said, why don't you come and teach a group of people any traditional dance that you would like from Venezuela? And I said yes. So I had a problem in my life. I was always invited to places I didn't know who was going to be there, what was the structure, what was the plan. Why? Because I knew what I wanted to do and I knew who I was. So I said, I'm going to go there and I'm going to be empowered in that room. Well, that room was full with leaders of the community. The arts and culture plan of the government, the city government, was going to be introduced that day for approximately 100 guests or more who were going to discuss and choose how arts and cultures were going to be addressed in this city, in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, for the next 10 years. Wow. I found out later, after all those people were dancing at the rhythm of the devil dancers and at the rhythm of the Venezuelan tambor. That's another episode that we're going to be talking, and we're going to be describing how it feels now to be friends with all those people and to be part of the programs that are developed in the city. So it began in my classroom. Masks were done in our workshop, my living room. It was, paint everywhere, paper mache, a lot of glue here and there. And then my husband started to design, he sculpted in clay the models. And then after that, we did the layers, we let them dry, we painted them. It took like a week. And in the meantime, I was designing the lesson. How would I introduce this lesson, being respectful of my culture and theirs? Also because having the word devils in the same sentence with dancing or education or storytelling could be a polemic discussion. And it was. My students didn't understand why their teacher was dancing with a mask with horns that looked like devils. They were kind of cute, but it was a devil in the end. So we came up with the first mask, and then we ended up doing approximately 10 or more, because through research, we understood that there are more than 11 groups in different parts of the country called cofradías, and they have different rhythms, traditions, and culture, and then that's why we got into understanding the cultural aspects of manifestations like dancing with a mask. Behind that, you had deities, African deities, and people from different backgrounds, indigenous people, African descendant people who were not allowed into church because of their skin colors. But then they thrive and they came up with ideas to participate in the celebrations of the city, of the town. Well, I'm talking about this and that. By the way, I'm going to leave a PDF for you in which you will find the most important aspects of this celebration. And of course, you could ask as many questions as you need if you're trying to talk about this celebration, this tradition from Venezuela. Please take risks. I know it's a complex practice to be talking about somebody else's culture, but your students need to know there are 21 Spanish-speaking countries, and my students just ask about playing loteria when it comes to cultural activities, and I have told them, thanks for knowing this, and now this is the opportunity to learn these other things. Thank you. So La Máscara de los Diablos Danzantes de Yare is also found on my first book, coloring book, which is a very particular coloring book illustrated by my husband, and it has content, it has history, traditions, and here you can find what happens in the celebration, and you can sit down with kids and color while you are reading for them if they don't know how to read. You can tell them a little bit about the country and specifically the manifestation we're talking about. So let me get there, and I want to show you. It's beautiful. You will see different dances, and you have word search activities, coloring activities, and then the explanation of the traditional manifestation, and you will be able to color it. Of course, if you have never seen this before, you have the reference, and then your students or children, your own daughters and sons, are going to be able to color the book based on the tradition we have been talking about. So I thought it was going to be a disaster because I didn't have anything, and I say this can't be based only on Instagram information I found or Google searches with pictures from some other people. And then I started to dance with my own students. I have videos, so much fun with them learning how to dance, the steps. And then I took this to some festivals in the city. I took this expression to meetings in which we talked about culture, language, and traditions. And then we continue to incorporate these things in the classroom, and then how these things were taking me out of the classroom, and understanding that the spark that made me start getting out of my comfort zone, creating this material with my husband, and then understanding that there is always a shift. Art became my way of teaching. Culture became my motto, my why. So why do I teach Spanish in the United States? Why did I focus on grammar, linguistics, semantics, discourse analysis? Those concepts I learned back in college. Or why did I do a master's degree to continue knowing how to teach students who were learning a second language? Why? Well, art and culture became my motto through education, always through education. So there was a leap, and from school projects, I jumped to cultural programs in the city with all my artifacts that now I have, different celebrations from different countries, And I have always told you about my drums, and I say I have always told you because I still post on my social media every single day. Now, I have some elements from Peru, some elements from Puerto Rico, some elements from Colombia, Venezuela. After having nothing, after thinking that it was going to be a mess, now I thrive in, I will have always been a resilient person, and I found ways. First, I made them. Now I can purchase some, I can call other artists and workshops, and I tell them, hey, how can I get your drums? How can I get your traditional clothes? And that's how it works nowadays. And well, I'm coming to the end of this episode. There is a lot to talk about, but there is not a rush, and I have fun having this space with you. As I always say, teaching, listening, but more importantly, learning from you all. Being able to jump from cultural projects to programming in cultural events in the city allowed me to have a broader and bigger impact in the community. So I was not just teaching my 120 students, because I have like 30 to 38 each block I had in the past. Now I have less students. To impacting thousands of people at a festival, or hundreds of people weekly in my weekly programs through my non-profit organization, La Casa de la Cultura. That is always, creating opportunities for people to come and tell their stories, people to come and talk about what they do, how they celebrate different traditions. And that was the impact and my motivation to continue creating. Now, for me, teaching is cultural leadership, is a way to be a leader in the community. Teachers, we have so much power in creating the space in which we could be the voice of those who are not heard, and then we can promote and encourage our students to open their mouths and talk about who they are. Listen, the quietest student in my third block, she has never talked other than what I ask about the lesson. One day she shows up and she told me, teacher, I know you dance cultural music and traditions from different countries. I want to show you my quinceañeras dance with my father wearing Salvadorian clothes, and how beautiful it was to learn the steps, not only learning the steps, but being aware that her grandma, her great-grandma, her ancestors participated in celebrations like this in the rural areas. Now she had high heels and beautiful traditional clothes from El Salvador, and she was so beautiful doing her traditional dance, so proud, and she was so happy to tell me. And now we talk about different things because I gave them the confidence to talk about who they are, where they come from. And I'm going to close by inviting you to be more, to challenge your students to ask questions about who they are, where they come from, to be able to tell stories. And those stories don't die if we pass them to younger generations. In our case, we have the superpower of telling stories to our students. In other cases, parents, please take time to tell your children about how you grew up dancing rhythms, playing certain instruments, and wearing certain clothes, and going to places, specific places in your countries. Go ahead, do it. come to la Casa de la Cultura, talk to me, Profe de Mente y Corazón. I'll be more than happy to share what I have. Of course, I don't know it all. And today I was learning with my students about La Tusa dance. I know La Tusa by a musician who popularized the song like last year. But then La Tusa is a traditional dance from Honduras we are going to be doing in our cultural night in December. So today I found out that if I invite my students to talk about things they don't know, but they are interested in knowing, we are going to have different spaces, not only for them, but for others to come and see what's happening. And creating a cultural space which is inclusive, diverse, and always friendly and nice. So this is Profe de Mente y Corazón, talking about how my career was going to be a mess in the United States, but then I came up with my own artifacts made by my husband and a little bit by myself. And then I'm going to be sharing more. And follow me on my Instagram as Profe de Mente y Corazón. Here on YouTube, subscribe please. I'm gonna be doing some live sessions and I need more subscribers. Help me please. And also share, like, comment, and as soon as I give you access to comments. And I'm super excited. I don't want to stop, but I have more information to share in the next episodes. Stay tuned. This is Profe de Mente y Corazón. Out.
Nos vemos en el próximo episodio. La Profe de Mente y Corazón, out.